Hi guys, in today's lesson we're going to be looking at the topic managing repositories on Linux systems, and this is the continuation of our previous lesson, which is software installation in Linux. So a Linux repository is a software repository just like Google Play Store or Apple Store, where there are loads of applications available for you to download. A Linux repository too is a server that hosts loads of packages or software, and they are available for you to download. So whenever you do apt install or DNF install, the system actually goes or connect to the repository to download the packages. I'll be dropping the link to the series 1 course in the description box below. I explicitly explained what a repository is in that article, and I'll also be dropping the link to the exam practice questions in the description box below. So let's get to the action time section. For a Red Hat Linux system, it used to be Yum repository, and like I've said in the previous lesson that the DNF package manager has been replaced with the Yum. However, Yum can still be used. For a fact, I sometimes forget and use Yum out of old practice. The configuration file for Yum and its related utilities is located in the file etc.yum.conf. So I'm just going to cut this file instead of doing cd. So you can see that in this file we have different sections. We have the main section, right? And here for the main section, you can see the likes of GPG check, meaning that we're saying that you should check the GPG keys to validate that the repository is actually coming from the right source, from the reliable source. Yeah, I don't have this is not complete, right? If it were to be a complete Yum configuration file for a particular repository, you would also see the repository in that you see the repository here in this file. So the file would have, of course, different sections: the main section, the repository section, which would allow you to set repository specific options and etc. However, Red Hat, has also said that instead of configuring a repository in this file, it is recommended to configure your repository and define your repository settings in the file etc yum.repos.d. So it's a directory. So if I go to etc slash yum.repos.d, and if I do ls, you can see that we have some repo files here. And of course, you can have as many repository files in this directory. And of course, they will have the extension .repo. And again, since the DNF has been replaced with yum, right? The new file that replaced the etc yum.conf file is in the location. So if I let me just cut this location. If I say cut etc slash dnf slash dnf.conf, you can see that the same thing we have in this location is the same thing we have in this location, exactly the same thing. So this is just the new location for the DNF repository, because the DNF has been replaced by the Yum repository, and they are the same thing, like I said. So if even if I do ls, you would see that we have a soft link that is linking both. So if I do ls, let me just do ls slash l. So you can see, okay, ls slash l. Okay, let me just do that for, I can't see it here. So if I do it for etc.yum.conf, there should be a soft link that should, you know, come to this DNF conf file. Let's see, etc.yum.conf. Why is my tab not working? All right, so you can see that we have a soft link, which simply means that this file is linked to this file. And of course, you can see that it's the same thing we have here. So if you're going to be using, I'm going to advise, or it's even recommended that if you want to use the conf file, it's better you just, use the dnf slash dnf dot conf file in this regard. And like I've mentioned that the recommended file for repository definition by Red Hat is in this directory, which is, so irrespective of whether we are using the DNF repository or we have the DNF package manager, right? The recommended location still remains the etc yum.repos.d, right? So I don't want you to mix this up. If you want to use the conf file, use dnf slash dnf.conf. Don't use etcyum.conf. But again, I said that Red Hat has recommended that you should use etcyum.repos.d instead. So I know you would say, oh, this is still yum, there is no DNF. It's still the same thing, even for Red Hat 9 and above systems, right? So if you look at this file, like I showed to you, we have two repository files here. The Red Hat repo file is the file for the Red Hat repository, and for now, I have not subscribed this system because I don't have subscription, and that is why if I try to check this file, if I do cat Red Hat repo, you will see that I don't have any repositories here in this file. But don't worry, I'm going to subscribe this system later on. And the other file here is the local repository I configured myself using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux ISO file, right? So if I do cat local repo, you can see how I configured this repository. I'm going to be dropping the link to the description box below on how I configured this repository. And also in that link for the article, you will see what all these things means. These parameters, upstream, base URL, enable. I explicitly explained what everything means in that article. So if you don't have your system being subscribed, because by default there are some software or applications or packages that comes with the Red Hat Enterprise Linux ISO file, you can actually configure your local repository so that you can download packages from that local repository. And it is very, very, very important that you know how to configure a local repository, especially if you're going to be writing the examination. So yeah, having understood this, there are day-to-day DNF or local the DNF commands that you would run as an administrator. Commands like DNF repo list. So when you say DNF repo list, this will show you all the repositories that are enabled on the system. So you can see that here, like I said, I have the local repository being configured. So of course, you can see that, of course, it's telling me that the system is not registered with an entitlement server. And because I have the local repository being configured, you can see that this repositories, upstream, and the base OS repositories are enabled. And these are the names of the repositories. And if I also use the command dnf repo list dash dash all, This will show all the repositories that are enabled and that are not enabled on the system. And because of I have just two repositories on the system, so it's just showing me that the two repositories are enabled. And another command you would use, you can say which DNF, right? So it's telling us that the DNF is user bin DNF, that's the installation directory. And if I do ll slash user slash bin slash DNF, okay, so that is a DNF3. Okay, there are other commands, you would use how to enable a repository, how to disable a repository. This table shows different DNF commands that you can use, and these are just the basic commands. For Ubuntu systems, the apt repository will be configured, and the configuration file for apt and its related utilities is located in the location etc apt sources.list. So I should cut this file because it's not a directory. Yeah, so you can see a lot of lines here, and each line, which is this, that has the so all these lines are repositories, and they contain different softwares. One can add another repository, including a third party repository at the end of this file. So you can just come to the end of the file and then you can add another repository. And of course, if you want to enable a repository here, like where you have this comment section, you can just remove this comment section and this repository will be available for you to use. And um just like we have in the Red Hat systems, where I said one can create a repo file in the etc.yum.repos.d, one can also do that in Ubuntu system, but then it's not, of course, etc yum.repos.d. In this case, it's etc apt slash sources. I don't know why my tab will not work. What's happening? Okay, apt. This is apt. etc apt sources.list.d. So if you do ls, we don't have any file here. We can actually have or add a repository file in this location, but then it must end with the extension, the file name dot list. So maybe we want to create a repository file called local. We can say local dot list. So it must, yeah, it's good or recommended it ends with the dot list extension. Many times, um, having to add or install a repository, GPG key files can be stressful, especially when you need to do this for quite numbers of repositories. And Ubuntu has introduced a system called PPA, meaning Personal Package Archive. With PPA, the GPG keys of a repository can easily be added. And another advantage of using PPA is that there will be easy software distributions for developers here. Developers would like that. And so if you want to install a repository on the Ubuntu system here, you can use PPA, right? And to use PPA, like I said, it makes things easy for you. Makes you can just it would automatically even add your GPG keys for you. And to use PPA, right, you can just use the command. You can say add apt repository, and we would say PPA followed by user and the repository. So if I want to, for example, if I want to add the notepad repository, I can say, so the user is going to be notepad qq-team. So this is readily available for you online, so this is not a big deal. So the repository is going to be called notepad qq. So if I do enter, let's see what's gonna happen here. Okay, it's taking time. All right, we have some say warning. Please use Snap package instead. Blah blah blah. Yeah, system is not up to date. Yeah, adding repository. Press enter to continue. Yeah, let me scroll up a bit. Let me see. Yeah, of course, the repository. The description is Notepad QQ text editor. Yeah. If I scroll up a bit, let's see here. Repository. Blah blah blah. For how to upgrade to. Okay, let's continue. So for more information, you can see, yes, I'm going to add this repository. I'm going to say enter, and it's going to add this repository for us. All right, and you can see what I said here, that it's going to add the keys for us automatically. You can see here it's jumping. You can see it's saying adding key. Yeah, okay. Well, let's just let this complete, and then we can install the Notepad QQ package. Updating blah blah blah, and there is therefore disabled default. All right, let's install the notepad package. I can just say apt install notepad qq. Say yes. And so I have the repository for that software, of course, so then I can install the software from that repository. Yep, yep. It's taking time. So I'm just going to pause the video. When this is complete, I'm going to resume the video. So this is done. Yeah, we have the package already installed, and yeah, if I do ls, you can now see that I have the repository here with the extension .list, and if I do cat notepad .list, you can see the repository here, right? So yeah, that's that about the Ubuntu system. Yeah, of course, again, there are different things you can do with the apt command, right? So apt install, of course, to install packages. Yeah, before I forget, I also want to mention that you can remove the PPA, and to remove the PPA, you can just do just like add apt. You can see add apt repository dash remove PPA. So we can actually remove this PPA. Nope, that's going to be notepad dash team slash notepad qq. So this command is going to remove the PPA. All right, this is going to remove the PPA. So we can also have, let's just look at this table too, like we did for the Red Hat system. What the day-to-day activity that an Ubuntu Linux administrator can use or do with the apt package manager. So here is a very simple table that you can use with apt. We have the apt install, remove, apt clean, apt update. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, like, comment. When you do this, you encourage us to do more of those videos. And bye for now.